Who better than me?
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another casual stream with your boy, Face the Kid. As always, please like and subscribe. Share with a friend, a colleague, a relative, an associate, an enemy, any and all in between. It's appreciated. I know this was supposed to happen yesterday. For those of you that watched the breakdown on the Undefeated podcast, I did kind of explain that there was a probability that it wouldn't take place just because of some other duties that I had and the fact that I was shattered. And as a couple of you did comment on Tuesday, that I did in fact look worn out. I did look extremely tired. I was, but I'm invigorated today. I'm nice. There's stuff to talk about, and I can appreciate if maybe not everyone is here like would normally be here on a Wednesday. It is a different day. I know Chelsea and Tottenham are playing, so I understand if that takes preference, and it's no hard feelings whatsoever. But for everyone who has tuned in, for everyone who is here, I truly appreciate it. Thank you as always. I'm gonna get to the roll call, see who's in the building, and then yeah, we can talk because there's stuff to talk about. And I think this entire hour, maybe even hour and a half, is all going to be like predicated on one specific subject, which I'm also going to have a video about tomorrow before Basis Picks comes out. So there's a lot going on. But yeah, let's get into these comments. Let's see who's in the building thus far. And again, thank you everyone who is here early. So shout out to Philip Anson, #1 in the building. I was wondering why there was no casual stream yesterday, but here we are. Yes, thing is, I actually wanted to go live both yesterday and today for separate reasons, but yesterday's one just didn't take place. However, I hope I compensated with, you know, the 5 interviews. One of them went out yesterday, the other 4 have gone out today, so I hope you guys have enjoyed that while you waited for this and waiting for the episodes coming up moving forward. So shout out to Philip as always. Yasmin Malik, shout out to you. Sad thing is, when I saw this morning, I wasn't surprised. Yeah, we'll talk about that. And the thing is, I was actually up at the time when the whole thing was taking place, early hours of the morning. Don't ask me how I managed to be up at those times. I don't even know how I was up at those times. But yeah, I saw everything unfolding, and the first thing I was thinking to myself is, a lot of my fan base are British. They're all gonna be in their beds right now, so there's no point doing an emergency live or anything like that. I might as well just wait. So yeah, Star Fox WR45E, shout out to you. Yep, I know you was in the comments earlier talking about the Ryan Garcia thing, and I was like, I told you, no, there's gonna be a show tonight. We're gonna get into everything. So shout outs to you. Jonah 31, big ups to you. Toby Bartlett in the building as well. Who supports those dead teams? Well, unfortunately, my dad does support Tottenham, so I while obviously I'm not a Tottenham supporter, I do keep a little bit of an affinity for them just because my dad supports them. So I try to have good vibes and good auras about them, unless they're playing my team, of course, in which case, you know, they gotta go. But you know, man like G-Chain in the building, shout out to you. Thank you very much for being in attendance. Dr. Wolf tickets as well. So yeah, look, I mean, you know, what, 6 minutes in, there's enough people watching. There's 10 people looking at the 10 or 11 people. So if I can get 10 or 11 likes on the video, I will appreciate that. And yeah, let's talk. You know what? Let's dive straight into it. I mean, I guess the first place we can kind of, because it all kind of intersects at this point in time, but I'm going to leave it up to you guys. Do you guys want to talk about Ryan Garcia first and what's going on there, or do you want to talk about the press conference yesterday with Canelo Alvarez and Oscar De La Hoya and how that ultimately then leads on to what happened with Ryan Garcia straight afterwards? I'm going to let you guys dictate the show today. How are we going to do it? Because there's a lot of thoughts going around the brain on all of that. So let me get back in these comments and see what they say. Star Fox WR45 E-Base, you're from South How could you even admit that on the stream? I'm from North and couldn't be me. Well, like I said, it's not me. I don't support them. I don't. And there's a, I can't remember what it is. There's some kind of story. I think one of my dad's cousins or uncles supported Tottenham, and he basically got everyone to kind of jump on board. And my dad says that was one of the worst mistakes he ever made in his life, and he despises the cousin for making him go through those years of heartbreak and torment. But he's there now. He's stuck with him, and he's gonna be there through thick and thin. So, you know what? Shout out. Yeah. Okay. It looks like. Okay, Ryan first. Okay, cool. Garcia, the drug chief. Okay, yeah. Okay, you know what? Done. Tank was accusing. Yep. I mean, we're gonna fold all of it in. We're gonna fold all of it in. We're gonna probably go all over the place. So there's not gonna be any structure. A lot of this is gonna be dictated by the comments that are coming in. And you know what? If I may actually put out a link, anyone who wants to jump on, maybe 8:45, 8:50 onwards for like 5, 10, 15 minutes and give their takes if you're still here rocking. It's only right that you guys get that opportunity. But let's talk about it. Now look, first things first, I can't be a hypocrite, right? Shout out to James, big ups to you. Didn't want to leave you out before we get started. Now, I can't be a hypocrite in the sense that I'm always a person that advocates for due process, all right? So at the moment, there's adverse findings, failed tests with Ryan Garcia. And, obviously there's two things apparently. So we've got Osterin, and then I think some kind of nandostrolin, I think, which is like it's like a metabolite of nandrolone. So that's what apparently is in his system at the moment, or was caught in his system the day before the fight. So that was obviously weigh-in day, and then after the fight, which would have been like the post-fight drug testing. Now, again, I'm a person that I like to wait for all the facts before I give concrete opinions and views on things. What I will say though is, sometimes it's a lot easier to wait for the facts than others. Because on this occasion, I won't lie to you, there's a lot of things that are making you believe that, yeah, there are no further evidence to come out or anything. Like, Ryan looks very guilty on this one, and I'll tell you why. And again, this isn't me saying he's guilty. I'm saying he looks very guilty for the simple fact that he said, I don't know how to cheat. That's the first thing he said when he did his interview. Let's be honest. Ryan himself, he said he don't know how to cheat. Yet he specifically went on X, Twitter X as I called it, and said to everyone, why would I kill myself to come down to 140 pounds? I'm not killing myself to do that. I'm going to come into the ring comfortable. He agreed that he was willing to, pay percentage for if he comes in overweight. Like, Floyd told him to come in overweight. Well, that's coming in overweight essentially is cheating. So you've already showed us right then that you are capable of cheating, because you've cheated there to gain an unfair advantage. So you've got that in your DNA. That's in your makeup. So from you're able to do that, that's one unfair advantage you've got now. Why would I then believe that it's not above your honor, above your character, to now look for another competitive edge in the fight, when most people would say that when it comes to actually fighting as the two of you, like, Devin is a much better, well-schooled fighter than you. You don't have the same level of fundamentals as him, or at least you haven't portrayed them as of late. You have a lot more discipline issues in camp, outside the ring, than he does. You've said I don't know if he actually has this, but he says he's got ADHD, so he just does random things. Okay, so we already know that, like, from a mental point of view, you don't stay focused on one thing. You can't really stay switched on and stay in one mode. So you do all of these things. Okay, so maybe I started training heavy. Maybe I was, maybe I just couldn't get myself into the right groove. Maybe doing all of these other media stuff that I'm doing to try and get a mental advantage has taken its toll when it comes to actually doing the training. Okay, well, maybe I need the edge. I need something to help me basically pick up the slack that I haven't been able to do naturally. So therefore, why would it be out of the realms of possibility that you would take these performance enhancing substances? I think it's quite feasible that you have the kind of character that maybe does something like that right now. And if we look at it and you say, okay, well, he came in at 143, and it says, well, it helps you to, you can obviously usher in, you know, helps you gain muscle mass, helps you strip away fat, and can kind of help with your stamina and your cardio and stuff like that. Well, okay, let's imagine if it helps you gain muscle. Well, if you're finding it hard to get down to 140 pounds anyway, imagine taking something that actually increases your muscles, because muscle is more dense. It's a lot, you know, it's more dense, it's heavier than fat. So if you're building muscles, even if you're stripping fat, you still can't get down to the same weight. And if you do, you're gonna struggle a lot harder to get down to that weight, because now you've got more muscle in your body. Now, we saw him at the weigh-in. He looked very big at the weigh-in at 143. The following day, he looked extremely big again. Whether he was 160, 155, 167, whatever he may have been, and whatever Devin may have been, when you looked at their bodies the day after, like Ryan's body looked physically bigger shoulders, bigger frame, like more, like he just looked a lot sturdier than Devin did. The weight that Devin put on actually he didn't look as sort of chiseled as he normally does, as cut as he normally does. It looked like he put on a lot more water weight and retention weight. That's what that looked like. Whereas Ryan looked a lot more how he did the day before. So when you look at all of that, you say, okay, well, because he didn't struggle to make weight, he didn't then balloon back up, and, you know, all the salts and the nutrients come back in and everything that the body just wants to consume back up. So you get that aesthetic. But then you look at, okay, well, these punches that he's throwing, every single punch that he throws, like, hurts Devin. Well, every left shot, the right hand, Devin was able to kind of eat a lot of the shots with the right hand, but that left, anytime he threw the left, Devin felt it. Now, we've seen Devin hit by big punches before, medium-sized punches. No one's gonna be hearing like he takes the greatest shot, because I don't think he's chinny per se, but he doesn't take the greatest of shots. And I think a lot of that is down to him making these weights that are just naturally unrealistic for him. Again, I've maintained that 2019, so from the age of 21 onwards, Devin should have moved up to 140 from then. When he first started complaining about making the weight and how difficult it was, that's when he should have moved up. He could have kept all of his advantages, the power that he had, like the speed, everything could have just grown with him. So I feel like he did do himself some damage there. But yeah, it's like, okay, he can get hit and he can get hurt, but he can weather the storm. But in this one, it's like, every time you hit him, like, boom, he's on Bambi legs, he's on wobbly legs. Now, yeah, okay, maybe not making the weight is one part of that, but I mean, I don't think Ryan hits that hard, especially to someone who's at least trying to brace for a lot of these shots. The second knockdown, if you guys remember, in the 10th round, Ryan barely even connected with the fist. It looked more like he hit him with a bit of the forearm / elbow on the follow through. But again, like, it just took a toll. And then the beating that comes in round sort of 10 and 11, you look at Devin's face and the welts and the lumps on his face. When has he ever looked lumped up like that in any fight? The Linares fight, the Diaz fight, the Lomachenko fight. I mean, yeah, you get a couple of wear and tears, but where have you ever seen him looking like that? So you say, okay, your power ain't never really looked, you've got power, but your power's never looked like that before. You've never looked that big before. You've never, like, been able to take punches that well before. Because if you remember, in that third round when Devin rocked him with that left hook, like, he was on wobbly street, but after that, it was almost like no other punch had any effect. And as much as Devin might be feather-fisted or whatever, he's normally good enough to keep people honest. So to have Ryan literally walking through shots or like they're nothing, that to me doesn't. It screams a bit of, all right, I can maybe see how you've done this. So again, while I don't pass judgment on what I think should happen to him moving forward right now until I get all the facts from this particular incident, in my opinion, it's going to be very hard for him to convince me that it's not factual, that's that him or a member of his team or something was partaking in some form of PED usage, performance enhancing usage. And that's purely because if you just look at the timeline, you look at how everything's going, you look at the fact he already tried to get a competitive edge by not making the weight, and then the fact that the punches all of a sudden were like the most devastating punches he's ever thrown in his career. A lot of it all looks one way. So yeah, I'm going to that's going to be my stance on that for the moment. I'm not officially saying guilty, but I'm saying it don't look good, and it's going to take a lot to be able to convince me otherwise. Don't tell me about, oh, I was seen with Trump and now they want to get me. You're going to have to come up with a better explanation than that. I need physical evidence to prove that what you're saying is actually true, because that right there is a bit of a madness. That's sort of my thoughts on it. Again, I'm going to do a deep dive, a much broader deep dive in the video that I'm going to be putting out tomorrow, maybe tomorrow morning. So until then, I'm going to go back into the comments. Shout out to everyone who has joined since I started. Let's take a look here. Star Fox, Ryan's plug is Oscar Party Guy De La Hoya. I bet he don't know where the trap house is. To quote Frank, do me a favor. Yeah, definitely. Yasmin says, ban him. Okay, I know how you feel and I don't disagree with your sentiment. People United, shout out to you. I haven't seen you on the channel before. Bless up, base. Did you hear about Floyd getting stuck in Dubai as well as so we just talked about Ryan. Floyd will be spoken about. We're going to get into some Floyd and Javante, because that's all going to come in a video tomorrow as well, but we're definitely going to touch on all that. But thank you very much for joining up. Dodge, shout out to you, man. Dodge 172, big up. All I'm going to say is he did that shit. James, he doesn't seem to take this seriously either. Very childish about it. Why is Tank defending him and going at Eddie? Strange. I mean, I think it just seems to be the playbook at the moment. If you go at Eddie Hearn, you get more traction. I don't know, I feel like maybe not necessarily an easy target, but I think Eddie's a very high profile target that you can say stuff about and not get maybe some legal action put over you. Because I can imagine you can't really go at Bob Arum a certain way, or Frank Warren, or those guys with like that old, sort of that old money, and you can't even really go at Turkey Al Sheikh, crazy either, because he's got that you go missing money. So I think Eddie's just like, because Eddie is such a guy that's ready to have a laugh and a banter a lot of the time, I think people just feel, oh, he's an easy target. If I poke him, he won't really say much back. He might throw a couple lines out, but it ain't really going to be nothing else. So that's what I kind of think might be the reason for that. Shout out to Alexander the Great. Good to see you all here. Yes, most definitely. Star Fox, now we know where the mental health issue stems from. Crack withdrawals. James, yes, smells guilty to me. Toby, it's the same drug as Amir Khan fell for against Kell Brook, apparently. I'd love to know Amir's thoughts on this. I mean, yeah, interesting. I mean, because if we think about that though, look at the Amir Khan fight. Even though he got beat like from pillar to post by Kell Brook, he never dropped. He never went on. He stayed on his feet for the entire 6 rounds that the fight was going ahead. So, did that Osterman help with his conditioning? I'm not saying he took it, because he still claims he's innocent, but what I'm saying is the fact that, like, someone who's notoriously been thought of as chinny, and at least even if he gets up, he'll go down if you crack him. he stayed on his feet for the entire 6 rounds. So was the idea to maybe take it so that he can have a better punch resistance, so no matter what happens, he can't let Kell Brook have the distinct honor saying that I knocked you out cold or whatever. Stopping him and knocking him out is 2 different things, and maybe that was on the mind. Just as a hypothetical, again, I'm not accusing him, just thinking out loud. Anthony Hayworth, a shout out to you. Big up, base. You should have jumped in the convo when Tunde was on Monday Night Smoke. You know what? Funny you say that, Anthony, and you know what? I'll address that. Let me address that now. So I was in the chat, right? No, I was actually backstage when a lot of that was happening, and it was a situation where, because ultimately it was Spencer Fearon's time, I didn't really want to sort of get in and jump in on that, because Spencer was still obviously on the chat as well, and I wanted to be kind of respectful to that. And then it got to a point where I was listening, and I ain't gonna lie to you, like, I hadn't eaten. So I said, you know what, this is long, I can't even really bother to listen to more of this, because if I jump in now, it's gonna be a whole different scenario, and I'm just gonna be called a hater and XYZ. So I went and got food. I came back, it was kind of still going on. I said, all right. Then I was like, you know what, should I just jump in last minute? But then I thought, you know what, let me be respectful of the platform. And obviously you got to remember, like, because I have to interact with a lot of the man them, like, you know, obviously KG and Travis, I can't burn up bridges for them in a certain way. So I would much rather have that kind of dialogue on my channel or on Stamina for Sale. Even because if they want to kick me off of there, people know what's going on, you know what I mean? And I think that Spence would actually have enough respect to let me say my piece. Whether Tunde would, I don't know. But I would much rather do that sort of on those platforms rather than another one that really hasn't got the same level of passion for the drive. And obviously with Travis being a big yard fan, he's not going to want to burn those bridges either. That's his guy. So yeah, hope that answered your question a little bit on that, but I understand why you say that. Guy Fawkes, it's such a shame, but let's be honest, is anyone surprised? Yeah, I mean, I hear you. Big ups to you, and Cuz D'Amato, shout out to you as well. I hope that I'm not looking worn out like I did on Tuesday. You can let me know if I'm looking a bit fresher now that I'm not on doggy duties no more. But shout out to you. Jam Down 187, Austrian can help with all that. That's the theories. I mean, yeah. Star Fox, people were saying he looked juiced up before the night. I guess they were right. I mean, a lot of them was talking about he looked like he was suffering from roid rage at times. As much as like, oh yeah, I said, yeah, let me do a little tick here and there, and like a lot of that could have been him saying it to show that, oh, so when he actually has to do it because of a nervous reflex or a condition to maybe what he's taking, no one's going to bat an eyelid. So, I mean, it's all plausible. Shout out to Untraceable as well in the building. Ryan's name is in the dirt. Yep. Devin gets hurt. It's no secret. Yeah, that's true. But to be honest, every fighter gets hurt. Some just are able to recover or mask it better than others. But one thing that we found out about Devin is, chinny or not, no one can question his heart, and he still ain't been knocked out yet. And imagine now, if you're going to say that the only time that he's actually even been off his feet was against someone that was potentially on substances and blew away, that might put a lot more confidence back into him, like psychologically, when it comes to another fight, because now he can attribute all of his quote-unquote failings to a dirty fighter, as opposed to I just wasn't good enough or he was just much better than me. So that it might actually help Devin in the long run. And if it means that he tightens up on certain things and he now actually gets potentially that loss scrubbed off of his record, that is almost like a win-win, plus the money that he made. So yeah, you know what? Shout out to Tone, says Ryan will attempt to spin this into something like the Matrix is coming for him or some nonsense like that. ADHD doesn't mean you have to act like an arrogant arsehole. I agree with that. Anthony, Garcia doesn't care. He made his bread and he's a name, so he won't get a serious ban like that. Boxing corrupt. Might as well just legalize peds. Well, no, you know what? Because it's the people that don't get the people that won't get the big band are the ones that ultimately have done it consistently. Someone, all right, if we're going to look at this in the terms of a superstar, someone like Anthony Joshua 2 or 3 years ago wouldn't have got a lengthy ban because he's consistently doing big numbers. Canelo Alvarez, you know, they looked to him favorably with the clenbuterol thing because obviously he submitted other tests which kind of cleared his name to a degree. There were extenuating circumstances that they took into account, and he's been very sort of helpful in their pursuits after that. So but outside of that, he was basically is gate after gate after gate after gate big fights. With Ryan, if you think about it, Ryan's only had 2 big fights. We still don't know what the numbers are for this Devin Haney fight in terms of like the pay-per-views, but we know that he's had a good fight with Tank. But Oscar Duarte was on regular DAZN. All of his other fights was on regular DAZN. This one was pay-per-view. We don't know the numbers for, so he's still kind of in that rising star phase. So it would be a lot easier to make an advantage of him, make an example of him, now before he gets to that, you know, headline pay-per-view after pay-per-view after pay-per-view after pay-per-view guy. And as unhinged as he acts at times, a lot of people don't think he's going to be consistent enough to be like a main event draw, like, you know, consistently. So because of that, he's probably the best person to make an example out of. And he said on several occasions he wanted to be out of the sport by like 27, 28. He's 25 now. Ban him for 2 years and see if he comes back. That would be the interesting thing. Alex, this feels like the universe trying to throw dirt on Oscar De La Hoya for trying to bring up dirt on Canelo. I mean, look, karma works in mysterious ways. Shout out to karma each and every time. I hope she's watching as well. Yes, please thumbs it up as Tone says. Star Fox, Google says people with ADHD may have trouble paying attention, controlling impulsive behaviors, may act without thinking about what the result will be, i.e. taking pets. There's the yes, I mean a lot of that is there. Untraceable, I agree, looks horrid. Yep. Yasmin, Ryan's not the first boxer to test positive for Osterin. Yeah, I mean that's an old school drug. I'm surprised that people still use it, but clearly it's very effective for what they need it for. But yeah, that's been on the ban list since 2008. So to get caught with that is really showing that you don't really care. Did you see the DM Tank sent to Ryan that he posted? I haven't seen that. No, I haven't seen that DM. If you could put a summary for me in the chat, I'll read it, or I'll go and have a look at it later. G-Chain man blaming the Illuminati. Yeah, Tank is probably on Peds too. I mean, I wouldn't put it past anyone to be on whatever. Like James thought it was 2 drugs they found. Yeah, so the Osterin was the main one, and then the other one, which is alleged, because we don't have they haven't confirmed, but it's alleged that he failed for a metabolite of nandrolone as well, and I can't remember what it's called. It's like 19-nandesterin or something like that. Shout out to Danny from Fight Fan TV. Make sure you guys go and support him. Sub to his channel if you ain't already subbed. Does brilliant interviews in the neutral corner. I haven't seen a decent one. I haven't seen one recently, so it's a decent watch. But make sure you get those in. I know Danny was away for a bit, but yeah, you got to get back on the neutral corner. Untraceable, you go at Turkey, you'll go broke. 100%. Eddie will respond with words. Exactly. So I think that's why people go at Eddie Hearn. He's like a light target. You know, you're not gonna suffer any major off from him as opposed to others. And Lucan, if the fight gets ruled a no contest, will Devin still be seen as undefeated? Unfortunately, we can't unsee what we saw that night. Well, yes, if it gets ruled a no contest, the one comes off of his loss column. It will go to his record will go to 31-0-1, I think it will be, because it won't be a draw. It will show us they'll have 31 wins, no losses, no draws, 1 no contest. I think that's how his record will look. And yeah, at the end of the day, everyone will say, well, the only time that someone was able to defeat him, it was by nefarious means. So ultimately, he's still undefeated. Whether you feel that way or not, I mean, I'll still look at him that way. If that's what the rule says, then that's what the rule says. Right now, he's a defeated fighter. If that loss gets removed, fine. And considering that when I scored the fight, I had more rounds scored to Devin than Ryan anyway, so I can quite easily. I've saw a scenario where he won that fight for me. I understand the people that felt the other way, and I don't argue with them about it, but I would have no issue being able to see him again as undefeated if that's the case. Star Fox, I think this is why Ryan didn't finish Devin when he had all the chances. Conscience was kicking in. Yeah, no, I don't know if it was that, if I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think it was. I think if he wanted, I think he would have if he could have. I just don't think, but I don't think after a while he was like, I think he wanted Bill Haney to stop the fight purely because I think he was getting tired. He's like, I'm kind of getting tired of fighting now. I'm bored. My fights are usually over by now. Like, look, I'm beating the hell out of your son. Like, stop the fight. I think that's more why he was asking for the fight to be stopped, not for compassion, because he's not used to getting 12 rounds. My opinion, and it's an opinion with hindsight. But yeah, hindsight is a great tool to have. And Guy Fawkes, shout out to you. Devin is pissing Floyd off more and more. JD, Josh, where you been at, man? You've been ghost for a while. Shout out to you. Doing steroids is wrong, but I think Garcia would have beaten Haney if he was clean, maybe. But again, so now, Josh, now we need to see him fight Devin Haney with obviously clean testing throughout and making the contracted weight that both of them have to make. If he does that, then there's no more asterisks over any of the victory. But until then, he's in the mud. It's unfortunate. Daniel J. Barton, shout out to you. Bun Ryan, overweight plus cheating. Yeah, I mean, it's nasty work. October, shout out to October Red. Everyone, if you haven't gone and checked out her recent interviews, make sure you do so. She had some brilliant ones yesterday. I had the pleasure of actually watching some of them live as she was conducting the interviews. A few there, Francesca Hennessy, Isaac Chamberlain. She also went with Ezra Vaneka as well. I think she might have done one with Ben Whittaker yesterday. I'm not 100% sure. I didn't see that one. But Savage Dan as well. Andy Clark. Yeah, shout out to October, doing amazing work each and every time. Make sure you are subscribed if you're not already. Lucan, do you remember a few weeks on Monday Night Smoke, someone posted Garcia failed a drugs test nobody believed. We all believed he was a troll. He had some inside info. Was that before or after the fight? I mean, yeah, I remember that though. I think that was the one I was hosting, and we went to go because something about Mike Coppinger, and we all went to go and check the what's it called, the timeline. It wasn't there, but no, that's actually a brilliant. I forgot about that. Shout out to you. Dodge, I can't believe the levels of man over there defending Ryan. It's a madness. Why is Ryan acting like this is a joke with some random side chicks? He's guilty 100%. No tainted meat, nasal sprays, or eggs. I mean, yeah, it's crazy still. There's karma. There's karma. You're right. Shout out to you. Alex, he sent a message to Ryan saying, if you were cheating, then I defended you. I'm gonna beat the heck out of you when I see you in the streets. Thanks probably got bipolar disorder. 1 minute he's up, next minute he's down. Yeah. Dodge, them Americans are weird, man. I want to see Oscar try and clean this up. That's gonna be pay-per-view in itself. Philip, do you reckon Ryan would be stupid like Ben and not keep his mouth shut? Well, he's already come out. But I think though it's different because, for instance, if you look at Ryan Garcia is almost doing a very similar thing to like what Alicia Baumgardner did. Like if you stand on your conviction that you haven't done something, you almost carry on life as normal. So even if people want to say certain things after a while, they're like, well, right, this person really is unbothered by this. So either they know that they're innocent or they don't care. So why should we? that tactic or that strategy worked well for Alicia. Again, I still believed that due process was right for that. We saw what we seen with that one, but I admired the fact that she didn't go hiding or running or anything. She was just out in the public saying what she wanted to say, posting, doing whatever she wanted to do, and just carrying on with life as normal. And if Ryan does the same thing, maybe his fans are gonna just look past it until such a time as when they can't. But I think the difference with this one is because Ryan already had 2 other strikes against him, potentially play acting in the lead and making a joke of mental health in order to gain an advantage, missing the weight, and now potentially doing drugs as well, all for just one person in one time. There's a lot there, so I don't think it will work the same way with him, except he had a lot more expletives. Right, okay, cool. Tone, Devin probably deserved chinning for the Ugg boots, but what's right is right. Tank making a fool of himself again. Well, it's never a surprise. Fight fan, NCP will be back within the next coming weeks. Just locking down a guest. Thanks for the shout out. Of course, like I said, man, we're all on the same journey together, so we might as well all get comfortable on the plane. Untraceable, you make him sound like a monster. I'm not sure who. I can't even remember where that would have come from for me to be able to counteract. But I hope I did whoever that was justice. Star Fox sounds like a nice backup DM from Tank to cover the bases. No pun intended. Like it. James, October just had a good one with Eddie. Yeah, I saw it just before I was ready to go live, so I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but October always does great work with Eddie and Frank as well. So Frank Smith, not Frank Warren. I know she doesn't get to see Frank Warren as much as she wants, but yeah. Star Fox, is that camera angle Josh? Yes, that's exactly who it is. JD05. He's been missing since the watch along. I don't know where Josh has been at, but I'm glad to see him back. I hope he's good, healthy, and uni or work or whatever's going nice at the minute. Untraceable might have got deleted quick. What I Lucan said. Okay. Oh, okay. I get you. Right. Cheers. You man are done for. Shout out to you. Why is it only the sexy people get accused of heads? I mean, there's a lot that haven't been, or that maybe conventionally aren't classed as quote unquote sexy. I don't know. I'm gonna leave you for your definition. But yeah, I hear you. Tank is unstable. Danny Madu, shout out to you, or Nmadu. Ryan and Jarrell, Big Pharma Miller are friends. So we'll make of that what you like. Shout out to you. Thank you very much for joining. James, interested to see if Oscar will defend Ryan the way Eddie did Connor. Let's see if we see Oscar next to Ryan in the next press conference. That would be the interesting thing. Forget about trying to defend him on. And the thing is, he can't even defend him now after what he literally just said about Canelo in the press conference. It's I don't talk about. I'm just stating the facts that he failed 2 tests. Okay, well now your guy just failed 2 tests. So what are you gonna say now? Are the facts still the facts? Yeah, it's this has been a lot of fun. I'm gonna keep going through the comments, but I'm gonna change the background music so that we can move swiftly into another bit of talking point. I'm gonna skim through the rest of these. All right, Star Fox, Tyson Fury, you're type 2. You man done for. Where are your standards? I was speaking about the female Baumgardner and Ryan. Yeah. Okay, Dr. Wolf ticket. All right, that's you man interacting with each other. So I leave that in the chat. I was talking about Devin being a monster. Okay. Tone, Oscar bringing up Canelo's failed test was strange. I mean, he's not wrong, but at the time he was going above and beyond to save his cash cow. Yep. Take Jarrell out for a burger. All Diddy. Does you man are done for the... Oh, okay. See? I didn't want to be the one to say it because I knew that certain names were going to pop up, but he's clarified he's only talking about the females that pop dirty. Supposedly, you got Alicia, apparently you got Ryan, Hannah Gabriel's was one. Although what was her name? Something Jimenez, the one that faced Franchon Cruz de Zern, who basically got found. They had to do a no contest with her because she got found with that, I think, 3 different substances in her system, and she hasn't boxed since that fight. I think her name was Jimenez. So yeah, I mean, she probably doesn't fall under the quote unquote the sexy side, but such is life. Oscar's going to get Ryan that dress over at P Diddy's house. Dillian is the Shenseea of boxing. to be Dillian did looks. To be honest, to be fair, he looks sexy in the Parker video. Right. Okay, so look, that kind of segues nicely into the press conference, obviously, as we were talking about with Oscar De La Hoya and Canelo Alvarez, Jaime Munguia, and that entire sort of camp. So yeah, look, to say that Canelo Alvarez does not like Oscar De La Hoya in any way, shape, or form is an understatement. It's funny because he never really speaks about Oscar unless he's asked about him. But anytime he speaks about him, you can just see the disdain in his face. And I won't go into all of the language and stuff that he, because funny enough, I was listening when he was actually talking in Spanish, and I actually picked up like about 80% of what he said the entire time. Shout out to Duolingo and other sort of Spanish apps and books and texts and everything that I've been studying over the last couple of years. But I just found it funny where, like, anytime Oscar tried to when he said to Oscar, like, you had to write your insults down, like what are you? Look, them two, it's just such a bad relationship there. And he's like, yeah, well, look, Oscar's gone into rehab on several occasions. But it's like, while Oscar said that, it almost feels like he's ready to go back, because he doesn't seem, every time he kind of goes into rehab and comes back out, his behavior doesn't really change. He still kind of does the same things, and he goes and indulges in the same practices that kind of put him in rehab in the first place. It's all a bit weird. It's like, for instance, if you say that, all right, he went into, I think one of the times he went into rehab was drug use, and I think another one was like alcohol abuse or something like that. But he still drinks, and he still well, what it looks like, he still takes a bit of the booger sugar from time to time, because some of what you see him and the way that he just switches from one moment to the other, that's not just a natural trait. That's something that, like an unnatural substance has made that happen. So it's just it's like, I don't know, there's a lot of it's a very toxic situation between obviously him and Canelo. And then even let's think about it, even as much as he's like backing Ryan now because Ryan made a lot of money over the week, a few weekends ago, and what happened with the tank thing. But remember, Ryan don't really mess with Oscar either. He don't like Oscar or Bernard. Canelo don't like him. So the only two that he's really got is Jaime Munguia and Virgil Ortiz. And Virgil's had his own issues to deal with, so maybe he ain't in a position right now where he's not gonna like Oscar, or he's got time to worry about what Oscar is or isn't doing. But yeah, you've got that. Then you've got Jaime, who I guess at the moment is just happy that Oscar's still prepared to put him into easy matchups until, you know, the cash out fight, which is this one. Obviously, it's not the cash out in the time of the end of his career, because he's going to carry on fighting. But this is that, you know, you get building to such a point that you can get some good money from it. One thing I also want to highlight, which I don't think a lot of people actually realize. Remember when a lot of people used to talk about, Canelo, if you fight Canelo in Vegas, you got to knock him out to get a draw, or things of that nature. and we was talking about Canelo weight and like rehydration clauses and stuff like that. I just want everyone to know, because I've said this before, but just for anyone who's new, if you guys all know everything that happened with Canelo in all of those moments, it was all while he was under Golden Boy Promotions. And the reason I say that is because when people say, oh, people still have this stigma of, oh, you can't fight Canelo in Vegas and get a fair shake. I mean, while I don't agree that Dimitri Bivol lost 5 rounds in that fight, but he got a more than fair shake against Canelo in Vegas. And since then, and since he left Golden Boy, he's actually had closer scorecards on several occasions than what he used to get previously. And there's been no rehydration clauses. He took on Dimitri Bivol at 175 with no clauses in it whatsoever. We've got to remember, the Kovalev fight was under Golden Boy Promotions. The Danny Jacobs fight was under Golden Boy Promotions. As soon as he left Golden Boy, all of the quote-unquote stipulations and the concessions, everything stopped. The only thing that changed was that he wanted, obviously he wanted the lion's share of his money, and he wanted to be more of a driving force, hence why he was doing like Canelo Promotions in association with Matchroom and DAZN. So yeah, I think when you have to look at it now, I feel like you have to look more at the Golden Boy Promotions aspect of why certain fighters are getting the favorable decisions, as opposed to, oh, the fighter's just bigger than the sport. Because like I said, Canelo has showed since then he's not had any favorable decisions. I'm not going to say he's fought the greatest of competition since then either, but it's funny because the guys that he's fighting are still a lot of the other guys in the division's best ever opponents. Like, you put that opponent on their resume, oh yeah, they're amazing. Yeah, look how they dealt with this person. But when it's Canelo, oh, he's cherry picking. So I get it, but when you look at it and you compare the two, you say, okay, so it's Golden Boy you got to kind of be looking at sideways. Canelo got the stick for it, but everything happened under their watch. I'm just saying, that's food for thought. That's all I'm going to kind of put to you guys, and you can kind of leave that one there. But yeah, like the press conference yesterday, it was, like I said, I mean, between Canelo and Jaime, they weren't really going to go at each other as such. Canelo said, yeah, no, I'm going to knock you out, like, you know, within 8 rounds, but I respect you, and this is for Mexico. This is two Mexicans making history, so we have to go at it. Therefore, I have to stop you because they won't accept anything else. But when it got to Oscar, that's when that's when the good stuff started. And look, you gotta, in one sense, you do kind of have to hand it to Oscar a little bit, because he managed to get under Canelo's skin. But the problem is, getting under Canelo's skin is different than getting under other cerebral fighter skin, because he fights a certain way anyway. So making him angrier is not going to change or make him fight off of emotion or change how he fights. It's just going to change the venom in which he throws the punches, because he's not going to be throwing combinations. You know what I mean? So, in my opinion, let me see. Fight fan. He got favorable cards in the Bivol fight after leaving Golden Boy Promotions. Well, not particularly. I mean, remember, he didn't win any of the cards. It was a unanimous decision. He maybe got a couple of rounds that others don't necessarily think he deserved, but remember, at most, he got 2 rounds additional to what most people had it 9-3. Yeah. On one card, I think he got 5 rounds. On the other 2, I think he got 4. That's not a terrible discernment, depending on what you're looking at. Favorable cards would have been what he got with Floyd Mayweather when he got the majority decision loss by getting 6 rounds on the scorecard, where no one can see where you even won 2 rounds, let alone 6. So yeah, but yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on that. It was a nice press conference. That obviously that little spice made it that little bit extra special. And I'm trying to think what else happened since then. We had the obviously press conference between Tyler Denny and Felix Cash a little earlier. Now that's on a little side note. Hold on, I'm gonna change the music again for this one. This one's gonna be very brief because I know it's not the big talking point. But with this one now, what do I want to change it to? Let me change it to this. Josh is still in the building. He's gonna like this one. But yeah, when that's the thing about that, Felix Cash has been out of the ring for over 18 months. How do you still stay the mandatory for the European title after 18 months out of the ring? Having 4 fights in 5, is it 5 fights in 4 years or 4 fights in 5? One of those, but you're still the mandatory. I'm trying to work out how that works. Well, surely, like, Europe didn't stop. European competition didn't stop. British competition didn't stop. So how do you manage to keep a number 1 ranking in the European rankings when you've not fought to hold that position and other people have and fought more regularly? It's a bit crazy. I don't know. Maybe someone else can kind of fill that in. But look, you got Cameron Vaughn against Jordan Flynn. That looks like it's going to be a decent. Looks like it's going to be a little decent grudge match there already. Then you've. I'm looking forward to Shannon Ryan and Emma Dolan. After the Zapotenochka fight earlier on this year, which I was at. I know Shannon's ready to show up and show out in this one. I can't lie. As much as, you know, I don't do the bias thing and everything, there is one thing I am hoping. I want Shannon to start getting those KOs, because I know she's capable of those KOs, and it would be fitting that it happens in this fight when there's a British and Commonwealth title on the line. I would love for that to take place. I will do, but I'm going to obviously do my basis picks properly when the fight comes around. I hopefully will be at the fight as well. As you guys know, as much as, you know, Shannon's my girl, like, love the journey, love what she's doing. If I think she's going to lose, I will say so in basis picks. You know me, I don't do the biased nature. But I can't lie and say I do hope that she gets a knockout. I would love it. Who else is on that card? Hamza Udin on his second fight. He'll be on that card. What's his name? What's the guy's name? Suleiman. Something Suleiman. The one who calls himself Spider. Ibrahim. Is it Suleiman Ibrahim or Ibrahim Suleiman? It's one or the other. Either way, yeah, he's on the card as well. Kane Baker in his farewell fight. Against, who's he fighting? I can't remember who he's fighting, but Lewis Crocker is on there as well. Hold on, let me see these. There's a few things. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple on there. Be a decent event. I know, like I said, I know October was over there, so she would have got some of that good content. I look forward to watching some of that stuff when I finished on this. Yeah, but also more Matchroom news, which again is going to be in the video we talk about tomorrow. Chantel Cameron and Matchroom have agreed their release from so she's now no longer on Matchroom, and the rumors are that she is signing for Queensbury, and she will be announced as a signing with Queensbury tomorrow. I may actually be in attendance. So it's going to be in London Bridge midday, so I'll see how I'm posed and how I'm pressed for time. Because then that could be even more content to add to the channel for the subscribers. And I'd have a few interesting questions to ask Chantel if she is in fact there. I think Chantel's a great fighter, but I can't lie, like, she is one of the most miserable individuals in boxing right now. And I like Chantel a lot, but she's always got an issue and someone's always at fault. And it's like, look, I don't know all the things that go on behind the scenes, so I'm going to say a lot of this with like a pinch of salt. But even if you look at the issue that she has with Matchroom, supposedly, the first thing she's like, well, they're never going to let me fight Katie Taylor. Well, they did, and you actually got the decision. Like, if they really didn't care about you, you would have got robbed on those scorecards. And to be honest, it wouldn't even have been a robbery, because I was in America when the fight was taking place. I can't remember if I had it scored 6-4 to Chantel Cameron, or if I had it scored 5-5, a draw. So the fight was closer than it needed to be, and it was close enough that, you know, they could have swung that robbery if they really wanted to, or they could have made the fight a draw. But you got the decision. Like, there was a tournament that was created just for you, just so you had the opportunity to go undisputed in a new weight class. At a time when your fight realistically should have got called off, because there's absolutely no chance that you should be, no offense, but no chance you should be headlining the O2 Arena when you don't have a fan base big enough for that. You got to headline the main event. And I remember I was in the you know that obviously when you get the floor seats, right? And you normally, when you get those, you normally have to have a ticket to be able to get down to the floor. Try and know, my ticket, I had one of the cheap tickets. I walked onto the floor. Security didn't say anything. Literally, security that night was like, let everyone as close to the ring as possible. I came to ringside calm. I was literally standing next to Freezy McBones. Right at the time when that event was taking place. On the zone, you actually see him, and if you look, like, you can't see me because I didn't actually want to be in the camera, but you see my jacket, like I'm right next to the guy at ringside. That's how empty the place was after Johnny Fisher and what's his name, and Johnny Fisher and oh crap, what's his name? Alan Babbage. After them two left, or they finished fighting, the place emptied out. So yeah, like all of that, you kind of get that. But he carried that on and lost money on an event just to make sure that you could unify belts. Then gets you the other titles when Kaylee Reese is obviously unable to compete. And he gets you that title added to a vacant to the others. Like, there's just a lot going on there. And you got 2 Katie Taylor cracks. Yes, they were both in Ireland. You didn't get one in Northampton. Maybe if you wanted that. You didn't get the quote unquote the A-side privileges on either side, but you're not the A-side. Like, I get you. Maybe you should have got more consideration in the rematch than you did. I don't know how much you did or you didn't get, but it's Katie Taylor. You're never going to outgun and outmaneuver Katie Taylor. You just don't have the commercial power for it. Even Amanda Serrano, as big a star as she is right now, she can't outmaneuver Katie Taylor. The same way that she's like, oh well, I'm only going to do 12 threes, and Katie's like, well, no, I want to do 10 twos. Okay, cool. That's Katie. Katie has that stroke. You don't have that, and unfortunately, you never will unless, like, you really put a bad beat in and retire, though, or maybe then you get the clout off of that, possibly. So you see all of that, and you're like, well, no, the stuff that you're asking for just it just doesn't make any sense. Even to the point where in that first fight, he literally took another person vying for a world championship off the fight, messed up their whole entire camp, messed up their opponent's camp, just because you didn't want them on the card for your mental health or whatever. He looked after you in that moment against a lot of backlash. He took backlash for taking Ellie Scottney off of that card, and so did you, but you were backed. So all of that, and then you're upset because you can't get the trilogy, or I don't know what the situation is. Now, if you are going over to Queensbury, the only thing I can think that makes any sense is that you go over to Queensbury because there's likely to be another 5v5 in September, and you probably wouldn't be Matchroom's pick. But if Queensbury can pick you as one of theirs, and then Matchroom will have to find someone to compete in and around your weight class, or whether that's 140 or 147. That's the only thing to me that makes sense, is she's gone over there to be a part of the 5v5 and get the bag that way, because she won't get it, on the other merit. I mean, what is she going to go over there to face Hannah Rankin, who lost again the other day? I haven't seen the fight. I've heard that her opponent was fortunate to get the victory. I haven't seen it. I predicted that Hannah should have got the bounce back, but I knew it was a tough fight. But that's two losses in a row after signing with Queensberry. So even if you wanted to fight her up at 154 or 147 or whatever, there's no real market value in that one anymore. So it's just a strange move. But look, I hope it's worth it. Whatever the reason for the split was, like it works out. But this is like the second high profile split that she's had in the space of what, 4 or 5 years. After a while it starts to look a certain way, and it looks like the problem becomes you. But if I go tomorrow and I happen to see her, I'll ask her the questions. I mean, to be honest, her and Sandy Ryan had a nice little interaction the other day. That could have parlayed into a nice big fight on an undercard. Like a chief support co-main event or something. I don't see why not, but yeah, I guess maybe you do that on the 5v5 and the two of them on opposite sides. But yeah, I guess you have to wait and see. Yeah, that's pretty much all I've kind of got to speak about right now. So what I will do, as I did last time, I'm gonna play the outro music. But I'm gonna put a link in the chat. I'm gonna stick around for another 10 minutes, and if anyone wants to come on and have their say, you can do so. If multiple people can't sort of jump on though, I'm gonna have to keep everyone to maybe like a minute or 2 minutes just to have their say, and then bounce. But yeah, the link is there for anyone who wants to click. If I don't see anyone within the next 3 minutes, then I'll assume that everyone's had their fill, and we'll end the stream and we'll look to more content moving forward. But yeah, let me know if you guys enjoyed the interviews and stuff. I know the traction hasn't been that great on them, except for the Richard Riakporhe one, but I know obviously because that was put out before all of the Ryan stuff, so literally the Ryan is what anyone's talking about. But as long as you guys enjoy them, the loyal subscribers, that's what I care about more than anything. Also, anyone who wants to drop a super chat or anything, always appreciated. Actually, what I need to do is I'm going to create the banner and just have my banner sort of streaming at the bottom. Super chats, cash apps, IG, Twittex, like Instagram. I tried to create an Instagram for this account, but it won't link to my profile for some reason. So I'm going to look at the TikTok thing tomorrow when I've got a bit of extra time. Probably going to set one of those up as well. Start throwing out the content there. I know October, she's been on to me for ages to get that sorted. So yeah, I will do it by the end of this week. Hopefully I'm gonna try and see if I can get the Instagram to work again. So we'll wait and see. Yeah, I'm not gonna do the banner now. I'm gonna have it ready for the next time that we do the casual stream. Comments, I'll name this account later. Chantel to Boxer, Price, Mayer and Jonas are all good fights. Only issue is the Shane McGuigan factor. Yeah, I mean, Philip answer, I swear Fury Usyk doesn't seem to be getting any promotion, and we're 2 weeks away. No, it's getting promotion. It is getting promotion. They just recently put out the trailer. They probably filmed a few other bits. They might, but you got to remember, all the stuff they put out, all of the stuff leading up to the first time, and it got postponed. So they wouldn't really have been able to film a lot of extra bits and pieces. But by the end of this week, after Canelo's finished and Inouye's finished, I guarantee you'll start to see a lot more about Fury Usyk in Saudi Arabia. Don't worry, they're just trying to not, not drown out too much of the other events that are taking place. But okay, seeing as no one has jumped on the link for right now, I am going to end it here. It's gonna be Jazora Usyk too. I've got sources. You man, you're funny still. But yo, listen, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for rocking with me. It's been a fun one. Again, more of a deep dive will take place tomorrow in a standard video where I can start to maybe collect some of my thoughts a bit more. But yeah, we will speak again soon. But for right now, it's the Hardcore Casual out.
Maybe I'ma make it, maybe I'm not. In time we'll see. But who better than me? I don't care if you agree. I ain't saying that I'm better than anyone. But who better?